Hear me out. So my BIL, my husband's brother, was married to a woman from Greece. Her name is Nana, and the reason for their divorce was because of how much my conservative BIL tried to control her clothes and the places she went. He didn't want the divorce and was hoping Nana would accept the life he offered and stay, but she didn't. This happened 2 years ago. He now moved back with my in-laws and we'd see him more often. He tried to comment on how I dress on multiple occasions and it's unbearable. But since my in-laws said he's struggling and depressed, then I let it go. On Friday my in-laws celebrated my husband's 30th birthday at their home. I wore a heart-shaped blue dress and had my hair up. While we were eating, my BIL pointed at me and said that my cleavage was showing and that I shouldn't have wore this dress because it looked inappropriate for a family gathering. I was utterly shocked. Everyone was staring at me and I felt so embarrassed and on the spot. He looked at me waiting for me to blow up probably, but I laughed and told him, "Knock, knock." He said, "Who's there?" I said, "Nana." Now he paused and seemed confused at the mention of this name. He then faked a laugh and said, "Nana who?" I said, "Nana, your goddamn business what I'm wearing." Okay. He got upset and quickly left the table. My Sills laughed, but my husband and his parents were upset and later said that I was way out of line for bringing up Nana to my BIL, knowing how heartbroken and depressed he is because of her. His mom said that I was petty and didn't need to dig at him just to prove a point. My husband thinks I'm in the wrong as well and that I was being deliberately hurtful by bringing up Nana. Next story. Gosh, where do I even start? But before I do, sorry for any spelling or grammatical errors. Quite annoyed as of now. All of this started back in Jan. My husband has a long-term friend called N who was on the verge of homelessness and unable to find employment, or rather doesn't want to find employment. At first I was sympathetic because I barely knew him as one of my husband's childhood friend. I really felt sorry for the situation he was in, and when my husband requested that he get the guest room for a while, I wholeheartedly agreed. N seemed okay at first, but slowly he started taking advantage of our kindness. N is a heavy drinker, and ever since he has been staying with us he has gotten my husband into drinking also. Not only drinking, once he gets drunk he is extremely crude and mocks me, and not even jokingly. He comments on my weight or tries to constantly set up my husband with other women in front of me as a joke. After eating the food I make, he still gossips to my husband about me and they sit together and laugh. I don't find any of it funny. The more I try to let it go, the worse he gets with his remarks and actions. He also invites random people into our house. One time I shouted at him because once I came back from work. I work part-time. N and his friends were all sitting around smoking and taking food from our pantry. The TV was scratched and the whole living room was messy with food and trash lying around. My jaw was on the floor at this man's audacity to cause a mess and invite literal strangers without permission while I was gone. Even though I constantly bring it up to my husband, he gets angry and tells me that I'm being insensitive about his difficult situation. No, I get that, but not when he is trashing our house and mocking me or ordering me around. At least have some respect and basic courtesy towards the people housing you like. N also has other disgusting qualities like ordering me around, which I obviously do not heed to. Even my husband does not do that. I am losing my mind, sleep and everything over this. There is no privacy, the house is always dirty, and because of this my husband and I have conflicts all the time. I really need him out. I literally confronted N directly and he said I was being selfish and a bitch and he would only go if my husband tells him, and that my opinion does not matter even though the house is in my thing name. N either sleeps the whole day, drinks or invites his friends over to trash our house. He doesn't look for a job or housing. I am terrified thinking about how long this is going to go on. He doesn't do anything to improve his situation. I am thinking of filing a police report or something. I really can't take it, but at the same time this stupid guilt in me is saying that despite who he is, if I kick him out and he ends up in the street, it would eat at my conscience. Aita for wanting him out? Edit. Thank you for all the advice. I am really so grateful for the informative solutions. I am reading and writing down what I need to do. Forgive me if I can't get to all of you. I am planning to get some legal advice first, which I might take on sometimes after work. Thank you to the person who brought up the 30-day eviction notice and keeping an evidence trail, which I will also be doing. As for my husband, I am terribly disappointed, but this was not the man I knew before N arrived. I think it is more of a friendship thing to impress N because they knew each other for so long. But for now my priority is getting N out of my house. Next story. My 17F parents divorced 10 years ago because my dad cheated on my mom. He married the other woman who had 2 kids, my stepsister Julia, 17F, and my stepbrother Josh, 14M. While my dad cheated, their mom didn't because their dad had already passed away. Before that I was a total daddy's girl. I adored him and I was glued to his hip. My mom encouraged me to keep a relationship with him after they split. His new wife family never paid much attention to me. They weren't mean nor good, but at first I always had to share my dad with them whenever I visited. If we went hiking or fishing, they had to come. If we went to the movies, had dinner outside or anything, they had to come. I remember I used to cry at night because I couldn't understand. This stopped when I turned 15 because I wanted to do something special with just my dad then, and when he said that we should invite my stepbrothers I just broke down crying, asking him why he never wanted to spend time with me alone. We had a long talk when I got to vent how awful I felt just sitting there waiting for him to turn his head and notice me, because if I tried to talk or have his attention, they would get in the middle while ignoring me, and he apologized. After that, we would spend more time one-to-one and just a very few instances with all of them. I won't lie, I really enjoyed it. I could really talk with my dad, do fun stuff and be around him without having to wait for my stepbrothers to stop talking to him or anything. Julia and I'll be graduating this summer. I got an early acceptance to my college of choice, and when I told my parents, both decided to do something to celebrate. My mom and I will be having a getaway weekend to the spa, and my dad said he would take me to the beach. I was honestly really excited, so I offered to pay for the hotel reservation because I wanted to feel mature. My dad said no a bunch of times, but I ended up convincing him. We were supposed to leave today, but when he came to pick me up, my stepsister was there. He said it was a surprise since both of his girls were graduating. Apparently she begged him to come with us and he agreed, saying that she could get his bed and he'll sleep on the floor between us. I could feel my eyes burning, and I told him that this wasn't the deal. He tried to convince me, but he ended up leaving with her. In my rage, I called the hotel to cancel the room, and I didn't told my dad. When they arrived he tried to check in, and when he couldn't, he called me. I only said, "Yeah, I canceled it," and hung up. He sent me a long text apologizing, and my mom said that what I did wasn't okay and that I owe them an apology. Apparently they're on their way back because they couldn't find an hotel. ETA. As someone suggested, I'm adding this. The trip with my dad and the spa getaway with my mom was because I got an early acceptance, nor because I was graduating high school. That why Julia had no business being there. My dad did asked about inviting her, and I said no. I also informed my dad that since he keeps hurting me and putting his other family above what I explicitly asked him for, then I would rather go and see with him, and that he was currently uninvited to my graduation. That this was the last time, and while I still love him and it hurts my heart that it has come to this, I can't keep doing it anymore. I asked him to not contact me again and I blocked him. As for my mom, I explained her everything, and after much crying from both parts, she apologized and hugged me because she didn't know. She's supporting my decision. Next story. I have a daughter, Wendy 14, and a niece, Claire 15. Claire lost both her parents when she was very little, and I've been raising her ever since. Wendy and her mom live far away and she has custody, so I only see her once a month, so I have a closer relationship with Claire and we have a lot more in common, but I love them both equally. A while ago I got a bonus at work and I decided to go on a trip, but I couldn't afford to take both girls, and also the girls don't get along, which is mostly Claire's fault, I admit. So no one would have fun if I took them both, so I had to pick one, and since Wendy can go with her mom if she wants, I decided that it's only fair if I take Claire. So we went to the trip, but ever since then Wendy has stopped talking to me because she thinks it's not fair that I never take her anywhere and choose my niece over her, but I've raised Claire and I consider her my daughter, so I don't think I did anything wrong. My ex, however, is calling me an and says that I always favor Claire, but that's not true, so I aita? Edit. Can y'all stop assuming so many horrible things about Claire? She is just a kid and the girls fight like all siblings do. Sometimes it's even Wendy who starts the fights. No one is bullying anyone here. I am not rewarding her, but if your kid does something wrong you can't punish them forever. I get it. I am gonna talk to both girls and see how I can fix this. I will update again. Edit 2. I made an update post, but I don't know how to get it unlocked. If anyone is interested, you know where to find it. Next story. My sister is 30 and is married to a man who she, and our family, love. They've said they wanted to be child-free since they met 4 years ago. They had a nice life, where they both worked, have a dog, nice house, etc. About a year ago, he found out that he had a son. The mother was an acquaintance he slept with 6 years ago, who had never told him about him. She passed away, and her elderly mother has too many health issues for her to have custody. So he went to live with them. He's an amazing little kid, and our family has grown to love him too. So we were all shocked a month ago when my sister said her and him were going to separate. She said she loves her husband, but she can't take being a stepmother anymore, and that everything from not being able to watch adult shows at all hours of the day to asking him to do his homework makes her miserable. Her husband is absolutely devastated, as they have always had a happy marriage and still love each other. She'll be the first one to say this. He didn't want children either, but understands he's the only parent this boy has now. I also found out that this little boy is taking the fact that she's moving out and taking their dog, she was hers originally, very hard, no doubt due to the loss he's already experienced, and I felt devastated by that. When we were at our parents' house last weekend, I asked to talk to her, and after some back and forth, I told my sister it seemed wrong and selfish to hurt not only her husband but also her stepson this way, after not even a full year of trying to make it work. She didn't take that well and hasn't spoken to me since. Essentially, she said she's never wanted children and wants no part of raising one, and that I have no right to call her wrong or selfish over that. My family seems to agree with me on this, but my mom is very upset that my sister is furious with me, and the family members that agree with me